There are, in effect, two key challenges for us, and this is from Rebecca Henderson at MIT. How do you keep the energy and creativity of a startup, whereas at the same time having the operational excellence of a mature firm? This really is what we battle with every day. There are lots of processes and procedures associated with working in a large company, but at the same time we mustn't let those stifle creativity. We're very lucky. I sit in a group, I say, of just over 300 people. Research has been extracted from engineering. It was about 3 years ago, and it sits in a part of the company which makes it separate from everything else at the moment, which gives us a degree of autonomy. And that's really important, because how you manage a research group, for instance, is not the same as how you manage an engineering group. And we've learnt that, and we've separated the two, and we manage them completely differently now. And it comes down to this: how do you keep that energy and creativity, but at the same time run a large business? This is one of the solutions. So the chap smiling at you from the screen is John Nevins, who I've known for many years. And he runs a group in BT called Innovation Central. He actually manages that whole innovation pipeline, takes ideas, funnels them through a whole number of gates, and then produces new businesses from them. And one of the things he does is he measures a thing in BT called the innovation dividend. And that's the amount of money that we make from innovation. Now that's really important, because actually measuring the value of research and development is incredibly difficult. What this guy has done is come up with an agreement with our lines of business where they allocate part of their revenue coming in back to that original creativity and innovation chain, so that we can measure the value to the company of actually being innovative. And the top one of his key objectives there is driving innovation so that you can measure the revenue growth. Now, I'm not going to carry on with the innovation funnel. I'll give you one more thing on this. This, again, is Rebecca, and this is her picture of an innovation funnel. I think actually it's quite realistic, so it's not the straight set of gates. There is senior management input, there is marketing input, there is development change, and there are still bits missing the funnel at the end. I think it's a lovely diagram in that it shows that it really is difficult to manage an innovation funnel, and there are all sorts of stakeholders involved in it. So a bit about the world we live in. So I'm in the field of ICT, so Moore's Law is something that, if you like, I battle with every day. Gordon Moore did a fantastic job of coming up with this very, very simple hypothesis. And it hits us. This is a nice, I think, indication of how it hits us. This is the price of flash memory per gigabyte. It's about the closest we can get to something that exemplifies what he's saying, because a memory stick is some just basic electronics. It's come down from in 2002 being a couple of $100, nearly $300 a gigabyte, to today. I went on the internet just recently and had a look, and it's about £2 a gigabyte and still falling. It's amazing the way that simple rule it can be applied. The interesting thing, though, is when you start to hit this sort of level, it has other outcomes. So The Guardian did an article in 2006, does this mean the end of hard drives as we know them? The web, of course, has made fantastic impact on our lives. And there is this constant interaction between technology and people. However, understanding that and attempting to extrapolate it is where we need to be. We're a services company. So therefore, thinking about what people need, how they're using technology, and being able to push that forward and think about what they'll need in 18 months or 2 years' time is key to our business. Time. Here's an interesting quote on Thomas Edison. Basically, he would go down and sit and appear to fish, although he had no bait on his line. And the reason that he did this is that generally in that part of the country, if you appeared to be fishing, people would leave you alone. And it gave him time to think. Time to think is key. How do we do that in business? Here's a couple of nice examples of how we and some of our key clients actually take that time to think. This again is that's CSAIL, Computer Science and AI, and that's the Media Lab. And we're doing the same thing here, by the way, now. It's just I haven't got any photographs to show you. But these are CEOs and CIOs of our partner companies. These are the two people who actually run the engagement. And we take them away to interesting places like Cambridge and MIT, We get them to turn all their phones off and spend a day thinking with us. And the people who enable that to happen are the academics we work with. The academics facilitate that openness and allow people to think about the future. So we help our clients do that. We also help our own people do it, but more importantly, we help our clients do that. So we innovate together with them and give them the space to do it. Knowledge systems. I've promised to come back and say something about knowledge systems. Detlef is one of our researchers who thinks about, if you like, knowledge, capturing knowledge, saving knowledge. And he came up with this very nice, simple equation, which I wrote down because I thought it was great when he spoke about it. But when I talk to companies and organisations about data, they seem to think that data is knowledge, and of course data isn't knowledge. And the simple equation there is data plus structure equals information. And then when you actually bring human beings to interact with that information, then you might get knowledge. But understanding that managing knowledge and managing data are two completely different things, and that as entities they're different, and I'm sure you understand that. That's key for a lot of companies. So how do we share knowledge? We share knowledge and information through a whole number of different, if you like, interactions. We have a portal, and I'll come back to that. We hold lots of events. We hold lots of seminars. That's actually one of our colleagues at MIT, but at my lecture theatre at Adastral Park. That's myself and Dave Clark, one of the obviously the founders of the internet. What we find is that our senior management team want information in a whole number of different ways. Sometimes they like a one-to-one briefing, sometimes they like to attend a lecture, sometimes they want to listen to a podcast. And we tailor our information to fit our clients. My client base for the information that I obtain from universities is basically the top tier of management in BT. It's actually about 200 people. It's the directors and their direct reports. So that's who I feed this knowledge and information to. I meet with a subset of that group regularly. They tell me about their business issues. I tell them about the latest information, and we sort of trade knowledge and information. Co-invention. Here's an interesting article. This was published yesterday in the Washington Post. So again, I don't need to read it for you, but basically what they're saying is that co-innovation, in other words, working together with other companies, is not only an important thing to do, but actually companies do not have sufficient resource and cannot possibly even afford to do all the research that they need to do on their own. So collaboration is now key. Now we've got a long history of collaboration both with universities and other industry partners, but getting this right for the future is key to us. And it would appear that the Washington Post and some researchers have realised this as well. So what do we do? Part of what we do is to think about the whole science of collaboration. So there's a new centre at MIT called the Centre for Collective Intelligence. It comes out of a lecture that Tom Malone gave about 9 months ago, where he said that there were two possible outcomes to a group of individuals coming together virtually. One of those was collective intelligence, the other was collective stupidity. And basically what he's saying is we have to think about how we manage individuals coming together to make sure that we get a multiplier in there. Because when these collaborations work, and we have good evidence of this working with institutions like Cambridge, is there's an enormous multiplier in there. You bring 2 or 3 people together and the multiplier is a factor of 10. Partnerships will only work if they're based on mutual trust and also benefit. So if both halves of a partnership don't feel that there's real value coming from that partnership, then of course it won't continue. And knowledge sharing will only happen if there's perceived value. Now I carefully chose my words there. It doesn't have to be monetary value, but the people involved in the sharing of knowledge and information have to believe that it's worthwhile. And that can be for a whole number of different reasons. And I suppose the point I make most importantly is that although there may be a relationship between one institution and another institution, the relationships exist between people. This is all about people interaction. Actionable insight. That's knowledge we can actually do something with in the company that very often changes the whole direction of the company. That actionable insight is the key to what we need from our relationships with universities. A final thought. We found that with industry and academia working closely together, in a relationship where both really value it, there is tremendous power associated with that, and we can harness the whole power of creativity. But what we do need to do is keep our minds open and allow our people to have enough time.